Please take your places. We are starting our conference entitled Fourth International Workshop on Geopolitics of Small States in the 21st Century. And it's my great pleasure to pass the floor to Professor Darbinian, rector of the Russian-Armenian University, with a welcoming talk. Please, Professor Darbinian.
And it's my pleasure to welcome participants of this conference. We are very happy to host the conference together with the International Political Science Association, which plays a great role and have a significant contribution in developing of international political science in the worldwide. And it's good that we have the chance to have this gathering and discuss the options for so-called small countries in today's world. And of course, it's important to understand what this terminology means. The small country means, or the small state. Do we consider the state as small in accordance with size, population, GDP, or other figures? Or the headache the country might be for so-called big players, or the impact over the world economy, or heritage, or cultural or historical heritage, or the role the country or the nation plays in the civilizational development of the world history. These questions are very important and very actual for Armenians, for Armenia as a state and for Armenians as a nation, because there are discussions here, political discussions, about our possible role we can play in world politics at this stage of development. There is a concept which says that Armenia as a state is small, but Armenians as nation are global. But again, this needs to be understood, because what does the global nation mean? Of course, the presence of diaspora in our actual politics plays its big role in the concepts of developing strategies of the country, but it needs to be understood deeper. And I'm happy that we have this opportunity and occasion to speak, to discuss these options. And I wish everyone success, and I hope that we can make our small contribution to the understanding of these core concepts for so-called small countries. I welcome everybody and wish you all great and interesting discussions. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, Professor Darbinian. And now it's my great pleasure to invite for the welcoming speech Igor Okunev, who is the co-chair of the IPSA RC 41 Geopolitics and director at the Center of Spatial Analysis in International Relations, Institute for International Studies at MGIMO University.
Thank you, colleagues. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of International Political Science Association and its Research Committee 41 on Geopolitics. And first to say thanks on behalf of all of us to the organizers of this conference, to the Russian Armenian University, and in particular to Dr. Ruben Elamiryan. It was, I would say, a heroic deal to organize an international conference in today's circumstances, and thank you very much that you took this effort and bring us all together here in Yerevan, and we have this great hall for a conference, for a great conference on a great issue, and I think we will speak for 2 days that small states plays great role in global affairs. And I like this idea of this conference with the focus on small states from the very beginning, because geopolitics usually, if we take international conferences, is about major powers. And I think that's a mistake, of course. And our previous head of the research committee, Dr. Armen, who ruled the committee before he left us in May this year, in his theory of rebalancing of power, he focused many times that to understand international politics, we can't only rely our analysis on great powers, because the rebalancing of power happens in different countries, in big, in middle and small range countries, and to understand this process, the dynamics of reshaping world politics, we need to focus on different levels, and in particular in some problematic areas, in some conflict zones. Those are the areas where we could understand what happens at the moment. I remember one article where countries were measured, and I liked it, not by size, population, or GDP. They were sized by the noise they have in the international arena. They just counted mentions of those states in some global media. And I would say that the ranking of countries was absolutely different from what we usually think about great powers. And some middle range and small range in terms of the size of the territory countries produced much more noise and produced much more effect and introduced much more influence than what we usually think as the powers that have to shape the world politics. So I hope we will have great discussion. Thank you very much for being with us online or off-site. That's a great pleasure to meet up with all of you. And let's the conference begin. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Okunev. Thank you. And finally, I will also deliver a brief opening speech. Dear colleagues, dear friends, dear participants and guests of the IPSA Research Committee 41 Fourth International Workshop on Geopolitics of Small States in the 21st Century. It's my great pleasure to welcome you in Yerevan at the Russian Armenian University. The current trend tendencies of transformation of the world order, global uncertainty and turbulence, as well as technological development, comprehensively challenge the existing international system and geopolitical environment in various parts of the world. Small states are not an exception, and they are impacted by those transformations. Many believe that they are the most vulnerable actors of the international relations. On the other hand, being small is an advantage, and it allows more flexibility and adaptability in case of effective governance. The concept of small states, as Professor Darbinian mentioned, is very multifaceted and diverse. And our conference is a vivid example of that. Our case is spread from Sri Lanka to Uruguay, from Lebanon to Romania, and of course Armenia. Hence, our today workshop would be a great opportunity to discuss the theoretical issues regarding small states, talk about challenges, threats and opportunities, as well as present, analyze and compare multiple cases of small states mentioned above and beyond. At the same time, I would like to use this opportunity and express my gratitude to the Russian Armenian University, my alma mater, and personally to the rector, Professor Darbinian, for facilitating and hosting this workshop. Secondly, I would like to thank IPSA Research Committee on Geopolitics and personally Dr. Igor Okunev, it's the committee's co-chair, for the support of the initiative to organize this kind of workshop in Yerevan, for becoming the co-organizer and full support during the whole organizational process. I would like to thank also all our participants and guests, both physical and virtual, because as Dr. Okunev told, now we live during very turbulent, unstable times, and to make your flights and even presentations during these times is kind of heroic. Thank you. And finally, I would like to thank all our organizational team for their devotion and contribution. I wish all of us very successful conference. And now I suggest, we have 15 minutes. So I suggest to have another short break, and then we'll start the keynote panel at 11 a.m. Thank you once again.